The blame game in this tragedy got a head start from none other than the local Tucson sheriff. Listen to this.
The kind of rhetoric that flows from people like Rush Limbaugh, in my judgment, he's irresponsible, uses partial information, sometimes wrong information, attacks people, angers them against government, angers them against elected officials, and that kind of behavior, in my opinion, is not without consequences, and I think he's irresponsible.
That is Arizona Sheriff Clarence Dupnik. Sheriff, what you are doing, sir, is not without consequences and is in and of itself irresponsible. Your job, Sheriff, is to police your community, not to politicize this or any other tragedy. By blaming this massacre on political rhetoric, you, sir, not the Tea Partiers, not talk radio, not Rush Limbaugh, are responsible for fanning the flames. My next guest, a former colleague of Sheriff Dupnik, agrees with me. Here now, former Graham County, Arizona, and Sheriff and Defender of the Constitution, Sheriff Richard Mack, who joins us on the phone. You have probably heard till you're blue in the face what your former colleague said on Saturday, just within hours of the tragedy itself. What good, Sheriff Mack, did that statement by your former colleague possibly serve?
Well, I couldn't see it serving anything except more political inflammatory language. And to be quite honest with you, I was shocked when I heard Sheriff Dupnik playing that card. It was irresponsible of him to make such comments. It puts him in a very strange position. As sheriff, he should be continuing his investigation into this. And if he thought that this kind of rhetoric from Rush Limbaugh or the Tea Party movement was dangerous to Congresswoman Giffords or anyone else,
right,
he should have thought this on January 7th and provided security at the event. But there was no security there.
We know there was no security there. Regrettable there was none, and it may be a failing on his part, and you know, who knows if that'll be investigated. But is it typical of law enforcement within hours of a tragedy, of a massacre of this nature, to try and find what was the killer's motivation and to blame it on political rhetoric? I've really never heard this before in modern-day America.
No, that's why I say I was so surprised and shocked that Sheriff Dupnik got involved in that at all. He should have been way too busy even to address that issue. And this is not about political rhetoric. This is about a crazed, lunatic coward who ended the lives of some very important people and some very wonderful people. And I'd rather hear from the father of that beautiful little angel, Christina Green. Her father exemplified some real courage in the midst of being unspeakably grieved over what happened to him and his wife and their family. He said we should all step back. He said he doesn't want this exploited, and yet a sheriff comes out with that kind of language.
Is there any appetite in Arizona for changing gun laws? I mean, this might not have happened had there been more guns rather than fewer guns at the scene.
Well, if most of the people that I know over here in the Tucson area who are pro-freedom and pro-gun rights, if they had been there, it's very likely that this guy wouldn't have got off but maybe 2 or 3 shots at the very most, because they or we would have engaged him and done exactly what the Second Amendment is there for, and that is to protect ourselves and our neighbors and friends from these types of lunatics. You know, it's time now, I think, that we do like Congressman Grimm said, take a step back,
right,
and let's examine all this. But for God's sakes, this is not Sarah Palin or Rush Limbaugh's fault or the Tea Parties. You know I'm very involved with the Tea Party movement.
Got to go, Sheriff Mack, and we very much appreciate your time. Next time, we'll get you into the studio.